Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. In this video, we're going to be discussing 5 of our best or favorite sellers of 2021 to celebrate the new year. I am very excited about this video because you guys can probably either tell from the thumbnail or the title that I'm actually joined by 3 awesome people. So make sure you show them some support after this video, and also I will leave their socials down below in the description, and I'll also be introducing each one later in this video. But without further ado, I'm not going to hold you up too long to hear this first one, but I do want to say the purpose of this video is to just kind of reflect on our gold making and hopefully give you some ideas of items that you can add to your current list. Some of these you may not have thought of, or some of these are truly pretty popular methods. However, we're all kind of giving tips and an explanation on why we deem these either our best or favorite, so hopefully you can learn some tips on the way. But without further ado, Samadan is going to talk about his Mage Tower earnings and why he has enjoyed them so much. If you guys do not know who he is a big time streamer and a YouTuber, and he also runs the WoW economy recap on Wowhead every week. So be sure to check him out, and here's a clip of him talking about his earnings.
So for me, the Mage Tower has been like the perfect storm of ingredients. First, I had the whole Relic of the Past thing from a while back where I stockpiled a whole load of things speculating on what would happen with the Relic of the Past. So I ended up collecting a whole load of materials really cheaply to be able to make lots of different Relics of the Past. And then just stored them on Hellfire because I didn't have any space anywhere else. Then I carried on collecting recipes, which is what I like to do when I have spare time. And was fortunate enough to have gone through all the dailies to be able to get all the Pandaria crafted Dreadful gear, so that when the time came, when the Mage Tower was released back at, beginning of December, then I was in the perfect position to be able to start making loads of relics, applying them onto all the various pieces of armour and start selling them. I wasn't quite as advanced on the jewel crafting side of things. I didn't have Cataclysm jewel crafting, I didn't have Legion jewel crafting. I did a little bit of the dailies on those, so I didn't max out on those. Enchants I'd already set up, lots of the old world enchants. That was one of my most fleshed out professions, that and tailoring. So those were all set up, ready to go. And so I just carried on selling and selling and selling and restocking and selling. And I wasn't very active throughout the Christmas period. I was between Christmas and New Year. I barely played at all, so that is gold that I've made just mainly in the run-up before Christmas. So this is absolutely amazing. I've not really made this much gold before, and I'm very, very happy about that. So 2 million gold, just nearly 2 million gold.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Samadan. And if you guys do want to learn more about his overall gold making for 2021, that clip was actually from his video that he did of a full recap of his year. So if you want to know more about what he was personally selling or how much he made, feel free to go check that video out. But next up, we have Zanzarful, which is going to be talking about Trillium bars. He is a big time gold making streamer, and he also has very helpful guides on his YouTube channel, specifically about setting up the mission tables and how much he's making. So without further ado, here's Zan.
What's up, guys? Zanzarful here in another video. I don't think you've seen me here before, but now you have. Anyways, we're here to talk about something that is gold making related. The thing that I'm going to talk about specifically is going to be Trillium bars. But to be able to actually talk about Trillium bars, we have to talk about how to make them. And you make them with black and white Trillium ore. Now, there are a couple different ways to obviously get this. You would think, oh, I can just go farm this, but this is actually really hard to just go out and farm. There's not that many. You can't consistently get a very high amount of these. So unless you do a half-hill farm in Pandaria, and if you guys haven't seen that before, it's in Valley of the Four Winds, where you set up a little farm area where you can make your own ore. That will require a lot of alts, and then obviously, you can also get it through Spirit of Harmony trading, and Spirit of Harmony trading is something that you will have to find at the Vale of Eternal Blossoms in either the Horde or the Alliance part of the cities. There's 2 different places. There's a vendor there that you can actually trade Spirit of Harmonies in to get the Trillium ore, but usually, because Spirit of Harmony are really expensive right now, it's not actually worth it. but that's just a little backstory on how to get it. Now, its uses are varied. The most popular, I would say, use for Trillium Ore is actually making living steel, and living steel is something you make through alchemy. You can there's a daily cooldown for Trillium bar specifically, and then there's also one that you use Spirit of Harmony and Trillium bars. So because this is related to mounts, dual crafting mounts, and some other ones as well from engineering in Mr. Pandaria, there's a lot of what can you say, demand for these items, and also because they're harder to get than other normal ores. So I'm talking about it today because you can actually make a lot of gold even if you're not planning on crafting the mounts. You can make a lot of gold on controlling the markets and keeping them high in the value. So you can see here, I have purchased a ton of white and black Trillium ore. You can see 91,000 white Trillium ore, and I've purchased pretty much the same, 109,000 black Trillium ore for an average of 16 gold. Now, to make 1 Trillium bar, you actually use 2 of these, 2 of each of them. So that would be 16, times 4, which would be 64 gold. So I make a Trillium bar for 64 gold. And you can see on this account, I've sold 8,352 for 102 gold. So that right there is a 40 gold profit. And you can also see my crafting cost is only 50 gold right now because the more recent ones that I've gotten have actually been very cheap, as you can see right here. 11, 80, 81, 13, 13. So very, very cheap stuff. Now, I'd also like to show my other account, because over here is where I actually have the more sales. You can see 84 gold, a little lower obviously, but 13,269 of these that I've sold. So this is like one of those things that you can do in the background. If you find yourself some really cheap Trillium ore on the auction house, you can turn this into a lot of gold. Now, obviously, you can see right now with 21 gold and these guys selling for 100, you're not leaving yourself much room, because this would be like 84 in crafting costs. This wouldn't be worth it to buy. You can also see there isn't that much, and this is also heavily dependent on your server. I play on a very big server, so it might be very hard to be able to actually do this well. But whenever you look at this, make sure that you also look at the Spirit of Harmony prices, because you might be able to turn some Spirit of Harmony into some Trillium. But that's basically all I have, the TLDR for how these works. There's a couple more intricate steps into how to actually do this, but that's the basic gist of it. Like, you really just you look for cheap ore and you post the bars, unless you want to make the mounts. If you want to go into the mounts, you can also do that, and that way you'll also get the materials that you're trying to make for the mounts even cheaper, instead of having to buy them. But that's all I had for you guys. I hope it helps, and on to the next person.
Thank you so much, Zan, and I agree. I think the Trillium bar market is really, really good. In the past, I have definitely made a lot of gold selling Trillium bars, so if you guys have not attempted or you haven't checked your prices out, I highly, highly recommend. But the final guest that we have, who is actually going to be covering 2 topics, is Dirtyirby, and he is a little bit newer to the gold making scene in terms of content creation. However, he is a very big goblin, and you guys probably know him for his legendary sales, and that is exactly what he's going to be talking about today, and also another special market, which I'll leave as a surprise. But I hope you enjoy, and here he is.
Thanks, Penguin. 2021 was a big year in gold making for me, and I'm going to share 2 markets that were essential parts of my gold making strategy for the year. The first market is the one you're all expecting for 2021. Legendaries, with their incredible best in slot demand across all classes, reign supreme. Personally, my capital grew by over 1,000%, and I'm expecting this market to continue to be the biggest gold maker for 2022. Now, since it requires a significant amount of gold to get started, I would recommend having between 5 to 10 million gold under your belt before you do. Now, here's a couple of gold making tips for starting in the legendary market in this year. First, Focus on the most in-demand pieces. Keep in mind, with 9.2 looming, the meta is about to change. Keep an eye on the class guides and discords to get the early scoop on the best legendaries to level. Second, now is likely the best time to begin leveling legendaries and stocking up on materials, as prices for these mats will likely rise significantly in the weeks leading to 9.2. My second market is especially geared towards wealthy goblins. As the legendary markets caused my gold stockpile to grow, I began to have more gold than I sometimes knew what to do with. This allowed me to move into flipping higher ticket items. For me, this started with the seasonal holiday mounts: Swift Lovebird, Swift Spring Strider, and Minion of Grumpus. Supply of these mounts floods the auction house each holiday they are available, pushing the prices down. A few months later, the prices will rise, often significantly. This year, I stocked up during the holiday on all these mounts, and found I was able to reliably sell them outside of the holiday season for 2 to up to 10 times as much. So if you find yourself like me with a lot of liquid gold, start looking for reliable flips like the holiday mounts. That's my brief summary on 2 markets that were significant portions of this past year's gold making strategy. 2021 was a great year for profits, and I'm expecting no less for 2022. I hope these tips were helpful to you, and if you enjoyed them, I'm sure Penguin will let you know where to find my content at the end of this video. Now, back to you, Penguin.
Sweet. Thank you so much, Dirtyirby, and I hope those tips can help anybody out. Once again, the legendary market is such a very popular market right now, and as long as you can afford it and you want to put in the work, it's a great market to be in. But for the last item on this list, I am specifically going to be talking about missives. Now, I wanted to keep this pretty simple because I wanted to do something that everybody could craft, and it doesn't cost a lot or need a lot of effort in terms of reputation grinds or pattern grinds or anything like that, and I really just want to highlight missives. Now, I play on an NA medium pop server, so your servers may look very different than this or similar to this depending on your region and depending on your population. But I've been doing inscription on 2 servers at the moment, one a medium pop, which is my main, and also a very full pop, which is kind of my side roam, and both of them have been pretty good. So the reason why I picked missives is because it plays off the legendary market without necessarily being in the legendary market. What I mean by this is missives are primarily used for legendary crafting. Now, of course, you can attach these to like the blue gear with crafter's marks, but most of the time that's not what these are used for. Most of the time it's whenever somebody's buying a new legendary, they need 2 missives to go along with it for their stats. So because of that, if you think about it, the legendary market is very, very popular and there is very high demand. So if you think about it, every single legendary sold is also 2 missives sold. So as a legendary crafter myself, not all the time, but sometimes I will get a legendary sale, and either right before that sale or right after, I'll also get 2 missives to go along with it, because that's simply what they're doing. They need that new legendary, so they're getting those missives as well. So for the people who cannot afford legendaries or anything like that, this is a great market to be a part of. Now, there are 2 downsides of this market, and the first one is that TSM by default does not calculate prospecting and milling, specifically milling correctly. So this means if you're just using default TSM, you haven't adjusted anything, your inscription probably looks pretty bad. But there are ways to solve this. Personally, I use Koya's custom price sources. You can just look up his guide on YouTube. And I do also have a personal spreadsheet, which is in the description, that you can use if you want to calculate prices externally. But either way, you do have to either do some type of other setup in order to make sure you're making actual profit. Another downside of this market is that it is time consuming because you do have to mill and then craft inks, then finally craft the final product. But I just use my free time, if I'm cooking, if I'm doing homework, if I'm just away from my computer for a little bit, I will take that time, that downtime that's like 30 minutes, 15 minutes away, and I will craft this stuff AFK on those characters. So, as you guys can see, this is my last 14 days. I have sold 600 missives for about 300k. Now, of course, this is not all profit, but on my server, missives are really, really good, so I'm making about 100 to 200 gold on each missive. So that is a very significant amount of gold, and if we want to back this up for the past month, I have made about 460,000 gold. So maybe 50% to 40% of that is pure profit. So that is about it for the missives. As you can see, a lot of the times, either somebody is attempting to reset the market, or they need a ton for their guild, or they're buying a few at a time. But there are some resetters here that are buying 46, 25, somebody even bought 97. So definitely when you get those market resetters, it can also help a ton with profit. But yeah, guys, that is basically it for my best or favorite seller of the year. It's not going to be perfect for every realm, but on the 2 realms that I'm on, it's actually pretty profitable. Also, of course, you have the tomes of the still mines that you can add to this, and that would be super awesome as well. But that is basically it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please go show some support for the 3 guys who helped me out with this video. I really do appreciate them taking the time. And of course, everybody, make sure if you want to join the Discord down below, if you want to join the community. But I hope you learned something from this video. Make a ton of gold, and as always, have a good day.